dive right into it. Why is it, in your expert opinion, do you think that Europeans are so far ahead of NA when it comes to Counter-Strike?
Oh man.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, and I think it stems back. I think now is not the same as why before, let's say, right? But maybe a set of tradition and a non-caring attitude that has transcended. So I think back in the early days, it was all about LAN centers because you needed good bandwidth and you needed good computers. And Europe is geographically more concentrated population-wise, had more LAN centers, had far better internet in those LAN centers, right? So just that community get-together vibe was happening on a far larger scale, I think, on particular games, Counter-Strike being one of them, right? I think you then transition to, okay, people are starting to get better internet at home. They got better internet at home before we did, right?
It's very true.
Right?
Very true.
So it just, the edge they had, they kept for an incredibly long time, right? The thing that put the majority of LAN centers out of business, everybody could afford good PCs, everybody could afford good internet, and the camaraderie factor lost out to the other ones, those other things, an inconvenience of it, right? And I think they had all the boxes checked longer that just got it all built longer, right? And I I don't know why, because again, you can look at Counter-Strike and go European dominated. You can look at StarCraft and go Asian dominated. And you can go Call of Duty North American dominated, right? And simply because bigger console base, bigger console player base North America, right? Console kids not as prevalent in Europe, and maybe also because they're going to the LAN cafes longer. So why buy a console, right? But I bet if you looked at and again, obviously people play Call of Duty all over the world. It is a huge fucking game, but like that got adopted here hugely. Halo, Call of Duty, you know, anytime a European team came over to those MLGs, they got smoked, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say NA dominated Halo tournaments and stuff
So
like
it's
that.
really like who brought you to the party and who'd you dance with the longest, right? And
Yeah.
Europeans and Eastern Europeans dance with Counter-Strike forever, for fucking ever.
And
So
they still are dancing.
yeah, and a lot of people will say like Americans are lazy and they want the easy. Like you can talk about that work ethics potentially, but then you have to get really micro on what part, like I don't know how French people are raised, and like I don't think all Americans are lazy and they want to get rich quick and
Wasn't
that.
it Fallen when they first started coming over here? But with MIBR, wasn't he one of the ones that kind of put that out there where American CS players are lazy? And then I believe Sponge came along, basically echoed the same thing
Yeah,
a couple years later after he retired.
a lot of
I remember,
yeah. Go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that I don't, I never played Tier 1 CS or anything like that, mostly Tier 2 and stuff like that, but I don't think that American players are necessarily more lazy than European players at
Yeah,
all.
and what I've heard echoed forever, and again, I don't know, but maybe there's something to be said to it. Frag chasers versus like playing for the team, and maybe a little bias lean too much of that, right? Making less of a cohesive team player and more of a chasing the glory cowboy, you know. I don't know. And then you can get really weird with this, right? You can go like, okay, the youth of Europe, if their favorite game is football, that is an incredible team-based game that leads to an incredible solo effort by one guy to kick a ball into a goal. But like you're running around forever for that one goal, right? Whereas we're raised on basketball and score, 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 and yes, football and baseball, but you know what I mean? Different.
Yeah,
So does that
100%.
change your psyche when you decide to sit and play in a team-based game? I don't know. Some of the shit I'm is reeling off my head for the very first time.
Yeah.
But I
No,
think
that's
again, I think when it comes to because even back in the day we were underdogs. You go back to those like early CPLs when they started showing up, they started winning and beating us, right? Even our pro teams, right? Um,
but
and we could only win big events if the event was sharing a calendar with another mixed event and maybe half the rosters were somewhere else, right? Like some
well,
of our biggest wins were happening when esports World Cups were going on and teams were divided and stuff like that back in the 1.6 days, Um,
well, I was
so
gonna
yeah,
say when before Team 3D became Team 3D when they were still X3, right?
yeah, yeah,
Didn't they the first time they ever faced NIP, didn't they win?
I think so.
So I think
Yeah,
the first time that they played each other, they won. That was when they had God, I don't even remember X3's roster back then, but I believe they won
yeah. I
the
mean,
first time.
Rambo, Moto. Which ones of those guys that became
K-
3D?
They
K
had
Sharp.
they had
They wouldn't have had. Would they have had Kane under E3?
they had Steel, I believe. They had Steel.
Because early E3 would have had Kane before Bombs and Volcano, right?
Yep, yep.
Bullseye, obviously. Bullseye, early
Bullseye,
dude.
bullseye.
Yeah. On your list is a question that actually that the 3D roster we just mentioned is anyway. Um, and so
We'll get there.
yeah, but like you flash forward to so I'm talking about early days, right? So now you fast forward into global offensive and like LAN cafes are obviously not the big thing at all, and everyone's playing from home, and obviously global offensive and now two is a whole lot of travel and a whole lot of less playing at home, or you're playing in a boot camp facility and not even in your home anyway, you're somewhere else remote. And why do we still suck? Why is it still a grind? Why are the best North American rosters sometimes actually South Americans who live here? Hmm.
There you go.
Hmm.
There you
Um,
go.
I think less opportunities. We have less, if we have less actual team orgs spending big money on Counter-Strike rosters versus European, Eastern European, etc. maybe.
But the
Um,
majority of the actual organizations are North American organizations. They're North American owned.
sure,
The
but
staff are
yeah,
North
but they're
American
just
and
carrying other rosters. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, does it have to do with the fact that, and I don't want to, you know, let's see, how do I put this? Is it because North American people are more personable on Twitch because of the language barrier and stuff like that of, say, Eastern Europeans, where, you know, a player like, let's say, Shroud. Shroud's a really great example of this, right? Like, he was at the prime of his career, retired from competitive gaming to go start a Twitch career, and arguably makes, not arguably, definitely
sure,
makes more
sure,
money doing that. And the same with Stewie and, some of those other guys, Tarek,
Jordan,
obviously, and
nothing,
stuff like that.
nothing
Yeah,
streams in there. Yeah,
nothing,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, again, I don't want to lead it down like they're lazy chasing an easier buck. So like North Americans just rather just stream and fuck around. Um, I think it's, I think
it's
you,
all about the money, in my
I think
opinion.
a part of it still starts with what is your base user set of potential pros that can climb up a ladder in North America to aspire. And where do you find them? Where do they play? And does Europe have a bigger grassrooty vibe going, and why and how? Right? Some of those European teams are rocking academy teams that they are yanking stars up from. Right? They're not. That's where they're finding them. Right?
Yeah,
We don't
like
have.
like
We
like
don't have
Donk,
that.
basically.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Donk. Now we talked about like Cal League back in the day, and like are we missing somewhere? And again, this is where I'm ignorant. I don't know what the FPL offerings are within that like engine system to go compete other than tier 1. I like Mythic and like what like Complexity and those guys throw those cups and all those different things. So I don't know what is or isn't happening right now to be able to say, well, if we had more of this, that would solve, because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth because then someone goes, well, we're doing that, right? Because Flom's doing a LAN in Vegas, right? So that stuff
Yeah,
is
I think that
happening,
looks amazing.
right?
I'm trying to get him
Uh,
on the show, by the way.
oh, you should. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think obviously the more you can get people tasting the idea of organized competition, right? The cool thing about Cal back then was you started in Cal Open with your little shitty scrub team, and you won, and you got up to intermediate, and then you got up to fucking main, and then you got up to premier, and then you got up to invite. And that was a thing, right? Now you're tier 1, and because you've been recruited, and you're on a team that's been deemed tier 1 because they're in that top 30 and they go to all the big events. But where is the Cal-O's? Maybe they exist, right? And are some regions doing that better to incentivize kids that aren't playing for money, they're just playing to play, to get discovered, right? I don't know. What I've been intrigued by the last 6 months, and I'm trying to figure out how to get involved in, and I'm talking to some people, is educational esports, because that's also a potential answer to the same question, but not for our favorite game. Like, I think you're going to be hard pressed to really have a huge Counter Strike high school ecosystem or college Counter Strike just because of terrorist, counter terrorists. Still, it'll be, some schools
But
have it. They are clubs and they have Counter Strike teams. They do compete, but it ain't going to be like Rocket League and some of the fan friendly, everyone loves.
Overwatch is huge.
Yeah,
Rocket League is
Overwatch,
huge.
Valorant, the ones that have,
Valorant,
that
yeah.
you need nothing. You got to get everything out of the way to a parent or a fucking school admin. And again, like Tyler works for me, and he went to ASU, and ASU's largest student club is their esports club, and he played on their Counter Strike team. So they have a team, and it's a big school, and they do compete. But I'm just saying, like, it's not going to be like the other. If you think about esports and education, Counter Strike's going to be always one of the harder ones, Ran, just because blood and terrorism. So I look at that, like, is there a world, and again, maybe not, that high schools and colleges can start becoming a proper gateway discovery ground for these team owners, right? And I don't know, right? Because that's all, like, oh, there's 12 million college leagues, and they don't necessarily play in their sports leagues, but they should all be playing in their sports leagues because that's how you build rivalries. The same teams you play in football play in Counter Strike and Rocket League, right? But they're in these weird conferences. There are very few that are at an actual. The sports conference has an esports division, but most are like wacky made up divisions. So I think
There's a lot. There's a lot of those leagues too.
yeah. So I think
There's
the
like
answer is
8 of them or something.
yeah. Why we suck, I think, is just traditionally we've always been the underdog of the population of potential players, right? And maybe there is a cultural vibe there of how people want to play the game, team based versus cowboyish. But I don't know. And nowadays, obviously, every team owner is just trying to figure out how to make any money. So obviously, step one is more North American team owners having a Counter Strike division. Period. Right, getting that open again. Right. I think Valve breaking up the pure private Louvre Agreement League with EPL and the Face It League of ECS, and making them all have to go by the ranking system and invites and have a little bit more parity. Maybe that gets some of these owners that have divisions in other games. You see, like, fucking Rob Moore from Sentinels tweets fucking 3 times a year after every goddamn major. Maybe we should look at Counter Strike. It's like, you motherfucker, right? Like, he should look at Counter Strike, right? So
Well,
you
it
need
kills
that
me.
right away.
Yeah,
You need more team tier 1 because you need more places with paychecks. But then you got to keep growing downwards, right?
I think grassroots where you were talking about how Europe during the LAN Center days and stuff like that, they had a more grassrootsy feel. I think that I grew up in the LAN Center era, right? My family owned a LAN Center and everything like that. We hosted tournaments at my LAN Center and stuff. But we also traveled to California. We went to Mug
Yep.
and Mouse in Texas. We went to Cyber Globe in what was it, Washington,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We went to NetFrags in LA, and all those LAN centers and stuff like that. And we would literally plot it on our calendar of
Yeah.
what tournaments we were going to go to. I think a lot of that would just be perfect. And there's a guy, there's an organization that just started within the last couple months. It's called NACS Landcord. It's a Discord
Oh,
channel, a Discord server that is trying to bring back the North American, land, stuff.
yeah.
C, D tier lands to get these younger players that are maybe, like you said, in open on Faceit or in
Yeah.
intermediate on Faceit to get excited about playing on LAN and stuff like that. It's a very different, game than playing online and stuff like that. So I think that's somewhere to start and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gonna segue into
Yeah.
another question here. If you could unretire any NACS player
Ooh,
to kind of
man.
help spur the competitive scene alive so that maybe Sentinels will look at picking up an NA roster and stuff like that, who would it be and why?
Oh man. It's so any era, right? Like I can
Any
any
era,
era.
any era.
A
Yep.
moto, David Geffen. Yeah. Obviously, if you don't know, in-game leader of the historic 3D rosters over the years, 3D being arguably the first North American properly professional, really kind of getting their shit organized team under Craig Levine, under Torbal's watch. That Torbal, like those squads, Moto, because I that era was when I was like, oh shit, Moto, Moto just gave a fucking CNN interview. Holy fucking shit! Oh my
Well,
god,
they got
3D.
sponsored by Verizon for
Yeah,
a while.
3D is
It was
doing a
crazy.
fucking documentary on the Great Wall of China right now. Oh, this this is actually like it was very validating to all of us, right? We all know it's very
100%. It was
entertaining.
something I showed my parents. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
look
was
at
like,
this.
and um, and so I would bring Dave back because I think Dave not only, and again, I don't like, just like in sports, I don't like, well, how would, if you brought Jordan back right now and put him in a game, like I hate that kind of shit. If you took LeBron back and put him against like eras, like how would, like eras of teams, right? So like I don't know how Dave would do as a player and if he would like adapt to CS2 or any of those things, but he was a great in-game leader, a great strategist, and an amazing ambassador to the game and to his team. So very well spoken, right? So like now, if I were to modernize that, it would be Sean Garris, right? Um,
which is in
right?
my opinion
Yeah.
like this. He was this
Or
generation's
Jordan, but I
Moto.
would say Jordan's a little goofy. Um, eh,
I don't, I
uh,
don't-
but yeah,
Hopefully he doesn't watch this.
yeah, no, but you know what I mean. Like he's a little more laid back, California, San Diego kid, whereas I think Sean is a little bit more buttoned up. Um, uh, but then again, who was on Joe Rogan's podcast? Jordan was, right? So like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the two I'd bring back.
That's a good answer.
Thanks.
I probably already know that the answer to this one.
Uh-oh.
Your favorite old school team from, the back in the day.
Man, see, like, dude, this is some of these you asked me were like, it's near impossible to like define one, right?
Okay. All
Um,
right.
but
Do
like,
you want to do like an NA team and like a European team then?
well, I mean, like they're. I think they're generally all NA because I'm going to go like old era versus new era stuff, right? Well, I'll
Sure.
do old
Yeah.
and new.
Okay.
So old era, I am torn between old Canadian evil geniuses when they were at the top of their game and taking second places off of the indomitable SK Gaming. And just the sweetest, nicest, that's what Chibs did before, right? When he was running that squad, those guys, or the 3D monster, right? And the particular roster, I would say, if I had to pick a roster of a team, would be when it was Moto, K Sharp, Rambo, Steel,
Volcano.
Volcano. Because
Yeah.
after Kane, because Kane was the original, but Kane was a crazy dude. Yeah, Volcano.
Kane had insane aim for the time period though.
Yeah, Kane had lots of out of life issues, out of game issues, but yeah. So yeah, those would be the two. Oh yeah, that old EG roster, um, and that old 3D roster for sure.
Cool.
And then if I were to modern era it, like all the way into Go, that legendary NIP roster that went so long before they
Oh
won a
God.
major under Get Right, because
With
I think Chris is
Crims
the
and
great.
Get Right
Yeah,
and
because I think
yeah.
Get Right is just a fucking sweetheart of a human being.
Who was the IGL back then was Flip Laren, right?
Yeah,
For yep.
yep.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
wow. Um. All right. So what about your favorite event that you've ever been to? And this could be
Oh,
any time period. This could be, early CS. This could
yeah.
be,
See, this is where it
you
also
know,
gets weird, right? Because I've been to a bunch of different shit, like, and so it's hard to quantify. Like I went to the first CGI taping before it was CGS, and that's when like DirecTV, like there were TV trucks, and it was like we'd never seen any of that shit. So like we were just like, is this happening? Like what? Now it was Halo and it was Source, but it was still like, what the fuck? And that's when Shagwire stood up and was like, "What now? What up now,
what now,
Swedes?" Right?
Swedes?
Um,
Woo!
but
Yeah.
it was like, oh my god, mainstream is here with TV trucks and TV cameras. Now they're dumbing our game down, and it's silly, and they really fucked it all sideways when it turned to CGS. But like that was blown. That was like, I can't believe I'm here. This is crazy. Um, I would say, yeah.
I mean, it's got to be that.
I'm gonna
I mean,
pick,
you
yeah,
hyped it.
but that wasn't epic in the same way. Like I can't pick one, so I'm gonna pick three.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna pick four. You're gonna have to deal
Go
with.
ahead.
Wait, yeah,
Sure.
four because I wrote these down. So that one for just like sheer awe of like holy fuck, because it really is the first time anyone mainstream gave a fuck. And granted, they broke our ecosystem for a while. Again, that team I love disappeared because of CGS, right? It broke up, it never came back, right? Our brands got destroyed. EG went away for a while. Yeah. Anyway,
3D completely
3D
left.
went
X
away. Yeah,
left.
yeah. Complexity went away for a
T
while. Came back, thank
t
God.
yep.
Jack's Money Crew.
Yeah. Oh God,
Anyway,
Jack's
yeah.
Money Crew.
I would say the very first CS:GO major, which would have been DreamHack 2013, because it was the very first major. It wasn't epic in the sense that we were in an arena because we were just sat at a broadcast desk. That's the one I did with Thorin and BESL and a bunch of obviously casters that did the play-by-play in color. But it was the first one, right? And it was a major, and that's the one that Fnatic won in the theater, and fucking Devil Walk dropped his pants, very iconic. And just because it was the first thing, and we had this major, and it was like this new great thing, and we were at an analyst desk, and that was very sports-like, and obviously my first time doing that kind of thing, so that was very iconic for me. Um, the next one would have been the Columbus major because Columbus, done by a North American company in North America, as MLG did that major. I hosted it, the desk, so that was awesome. Um, and there was some great Counter Strike throughout that as well. An answer to a later question comes out of that event. No, wait, was that? Wait, yes, yeah. Columbus was. I'm going out of order because I've jumped ahead. So Columbus would have been my second favorite event. It was 2016, but what's happened before that is Katowice 14, where Virtus Pro wins and they beat NIP. They deny NIP again, winning a final, and they do it in Poland at home. And it's the first time I'm ever at a desk with a crowd in front of me. Like, so we were in the arena for the first time, and that was mind blowing. Right. And Tosspot is there. Sean Garris is doing analyst work. And it's just because, again, I'm the desk host and I've got thousands of fucking people in front of me now. Most of them are there to watch the League of Legends championships that happens after the Counter-Strike, but it's still like, holy fuck, this is insane. Again, a lot of like, oh, this is real moments, right? This is real. A
Yeah.
lot of things before that in my career were like, oh, this is cool. Like MLGs were in exhibition halls with pipe and drape and little stages, right? It was cool. It was neat. And it was very defining, like, oh, lots of fans here. This is real, but not real in like, holy fuck, people are holding flags and shit. And then Virtus Pro wins in front of their home crowd, right?
Yeah,
amazing.
that was pretty
Yeah,
awesome,
and the
to be honest with
storyline
you.
is they deny number one Nip again, right? Who's on a
Yeah.
roll, still on a roll, loses again. So that's number 3, and number 4, I'm gonna say is E-League Boston 2018, because again, also at home. And
NA,
I didn't work
man.
it. Only when I didn't work. I was only there because I was doing PA work, and so it's kind of neat to be a fan and be able to sit and go different places. And NA wins, right? And Cloud9 gets that victory, and I'm in a fucking VIP booth with a bunch of fucking Europeans with Henry G and shit, and he is fucking pissed, and I'm just like,
He's pissed.
woo! I make it like I have a tweet of him holding an American flag, and he is the saddest looking motherfucker, man. I'm like, hold this for me. Yeah, great stuff. And I'm not a Cloud9 fan. I didn't like the management of Cloud9 during all this labor shit. I did not get along with Jack. Like very notorious. Did not get along with Jack, but fucking no problem with those players, right? And it was great to see.
Skadoodle's awesome. That
Yeah,
speech he gave at the
and
end was
yeah,
awesome.
and E-League
Absolutely awesome.
E-League, top notch. A real production company, Turner, doing our shit. This was their second one. Their first one is on my short list in the theater in Atlanta, but this one, because North America one was great, and they did what I always love that we don't see enough of is they did it in the round. They put the players in the middle because again, we always rent these sports things and then or theaters, and it's a concert. They're at the end of the fucking thing. So half the time, if it's a sports arena, you're in a seat and you're turning like this because because
Yeah.
most seats aren't looking down a stage, right? And that's a-okay for a 2-hour concert or a 2-hour basketball game for 3 days of Counter-Strike having to be like permanently turned. So I love when they put it right in the fucking middle, and it's in the round, right? I love that, and the players are fucking there. So yeah, Boston. Boston, baby.
I mean, yeah. I think those are
Yeah, good ones.
spot on.
And I
Those are
and I
perfect.
imagine if I had gone to some of these later ones, because we've had some great majors, but
Yeah,
I also stopped traveling to them. So, but you asked which ones I'd been to, and that's kind of where
100%.
when it
All
comes to
right,
Counter
so
Strike, those are
yeah,
the events.
there you go. Your all-time favorite player to interview.
Oh man, I always loved talking to Jordan. I always loved talking to Sean. So again, I'm using first name. Sorry, nothing and
Garrus.
Gary. I had
Yeah,
to laugh
that's
there.
how it's,
There it is.
no.
And then Get Right. I love talking to Get Right, Christopher, all the time. And then lastly, I loved interviewing Taz from Virtus Pro
That's really wow.
because we just had a really good friendly vibe. He was always really tall in comparison to me. He would always almost every time grab the top of my head and make some sort of joke. And again, I just loved hanging out with all those dudes. That's why I helped him with the players association. I just loved that window was just magical, probably for a lot of us that traveled around and did shit. So yeah, those are my favorite people to talk to. And I did a lot of interviews, a lot of good ones. MBK, always good to talk to. But those three, I guess, were always kind of my faves because they felt more like I was just having combos than even interviewing, right?
Is there any kind of insight? I believe it was after NIP started losing its luster with they started losing to, like you said, VP and that major and everything like that. There were rumors, and you would know more than I would, that Get Right was close to joining Cloud9. Is there any realism to
No
that?
idea.
No
Yeah,
idea.
no
Okay.
idea. Yeah,
Well,
I
just
actually,
thought I'd ask.
yeah, I actually can't confirm or deny that. Obviously, he was highly sought after.
Yeah.
I would not. I would affirm it just because it makes more sense than it doesn't not make sense. There was a window there that Nip was going through a whole lot of shit, different management, different owners, owing money, players not happy, and Get Right, hot commodity for a long time. So I would
It's the best
imagine.
rifler in the world for
Yeah, I would
a
imagine
really
he
long time.
he would have entertained. They would have, especially when it's guys like Hiko and others that they're not worried about an international roster. Simple comes over during that time to Liquid, et cetera, right? Like the people were definitely willing to fuck around like that, right? So that does not surprise me. I guess, if that's a rumor out there that he was
It was
at all.
100% a
Yep.
rumor. It was a
Yep.
big rumor back in
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah.
2014-ish, I think, like I
Wouldn't doubt
said.
it at all.
Yeah. All right. How about your favorite old school map, like Tire or Assault or
I mean,
Militia?
how far back are we going? Like CS Docs. CS
Wait,
Docs.
yeah, Docs?
Docs.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. It
man,
was the most broken fucking map on the planet.
it's pretty broken.
Yeah. I mean, hostages were never properly
Oh,
unbugged and it was never a good like Diffusal instantly became a much better gameplay for competitive integrity, but Docs was so fucking broken. And again, uh hostage on Docs, because again we used to play Cal hostage maps and all this shit, right?
yeah,
you
exactly. In the beginning of
and
Cal, it was
there
hostage
was a
mode.
time when you could, as terrorists, move the hostages, right? They eventually turned that off, but so there were two buildings in Docs on the T side. Um, and you would grab the two hostages that were in this building, you'd move them over by the water building and put all four of them in there so that your entire team could also worry about that building, and then you would lock the building down. And if you remember, CTs had to swim and shit, and like, again, it was broken. It was worse than T-side assault, right? In the sense of like how
T-side
biased,
Assault.
because T-side assault was also very broken. Like, good luck trying to get into that fucking building,
Yeah.
with anyone that knew the gun.
Yep.
So, but actually, old school map of like, note, I love Train. I love Train and Inferno. I love
Really?
the
No,
yeah.
no CPL mill or anything like that?
I liked the Mill. I liked what was the other one? Tuscan, Mill, and
Fire?
yeah, Fire.
Fire? Yeah.
Um, but I really liked Train. Some people didn't. Some people still hate Train, no matter what version of it. I liked the verticality of it. I like Nuke because it has verticality. Although Nuke also in the like the shit we're reminiscent about, like CT side Nuke, you might as well just take all the rounds because no one's doing anything. Like, it was so, all of these maps were so broken back then, right? In a lot of ways.
100%.
Um,
Yep.
but I would say Train and Inferno. When I was playing at UGP, I loved playing on those maps. And if I had to pick one, it would be Train.
Yep. Train was always one of my favorites. A quick little story, I said how I used to travel a lot for the little LAN tournaments and stuff like that. And being in Arizona, when we would go to California, who would be there? Jordan, Nothing, Gilbert.
Oh yeah,
And we used to play them a lot. We were pretty good and stuff like that. We'd always meet in the semifinals or finals of the tournaments and stuff. 99% of the time he would win. The one time that we beat them was on Train. So
there you go.
it's just
There you have it.
it's a little thing right there. Um, favorite CS moment you witnessed? You kind of alluded to it already.
Well, no, I
Um,
mean, you made me think about this. So, because I made
okay,
that
all
made
right.
me think like in-game moment, like highlight, right? Because obviously, lots of highlights of going to these events and going, "Oh shit, we're big time now. This is awesome. This is better than football." Um, but I did get to witness again. It goes back to actually Columbus 16, Cold Zero. He's got graffiti. I mean, he's got graffiti for it. He kills four dudes coming down apartments
Yeah,
towards him.
on Mirage.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Mirage, Liquid versus he's Luminosity, um, and he kills a Dren. Then he no scope one shots Elige and Simple together. Then he kills Nitro because he gets 4 out of 5 because the graffiti is like 4 stars or 4 somethings, right? And that was like gobsmack. And I think Bardoff and DDK maybe called that. I
Yeah,
think
I think you're right.
I think
Yeah.
they called that. And I was in the green room just like, what the fuck did we like? We were all just like, what just fucking happened? Like yeah. So that would be of. And again, I've seen lots of Counter Strike, lots of comebacks, lots of cool fucking things. Um,
Hmm.
but that because that also defined a comeback that defined winning a major. That was fucking insane. Um, and to be there, and again, you layer it on. That just happened at an MLG event. They're a North American TO. I love MLG. X involvement in XL myself at MLG, right? And yeah, sorry you did it to Liquid. That sucks because Liquid's technically an NA. That was an NA team, but that was just all layered in, and I was working it, so it was just fucking layers on layers. That would be the highlight for me.
Nice. So mine would have to be the Happy Ace with the Deagle
Okay.
on Inferno. I believe it was all through the smoke and it was all headshots or something like that. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And the casters, I believe it was
I don't.
can't
Yeah.
remember his name. Can't remember his name. He was going crazy though. That was probably the coolest thing
Yeah.
I've seen.
That would have been insane.
Yeah.
What event was that?
That was London, I think, or something like that.
Like an ESC, like a Face It London?
Let me look real quick. It was DreamHack opened London
Oh shit.
2015.
Okay.
Happy versus TSM.
Oh shit. Okay, so TSM, the Astralis guys, briefly,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
The Astralis
Yeah.
guys briefly. Yep.
But now you didn't have a question. Who fumbled the biggest bag ever in Counter-Strike history? The ownership of TSM. That's all I'll
Which is coincidentally also the biggest. They're the biggest esports organization in the world. Did you know that, by the way?
Are they now still?
Yeah, they're valued at over $1 billion.
That's just got to be some bullshit value. That's just some bullshit. I know they own a bunch of little side companies and different data stuffs, and like they've diversified. Some of the bigger teams have diversified like that, which is smart of them.
So it's the
Yeah.
only way you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
All right. Getting back. Oh, okay. Well, this was. Uh, make a roster of NA players from past or present or together that you think would compete today.
See, and like I almost want to like not answer your question because that's like one of those like if
LeBron, like how you were
if the
talking about
prime
LeBron.
fucking Bulls came back, how would they stack up against the Stephen Curry team? You know, I just
Yeah.
Steph Curry, I don't know, maybe better, different, adaptation, everyone's healthier. So I don't know. And I also get weird about positions, so I would name people that maybe wouldn't even play well. Like I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well, I'll give you
You can answer
mine.
that one better than me.
Yeah, I'll answer it. I'll put Garrus as the IGL.
Okay.
I'll put K Sharp as the Opper.
Okay.
And then Tarek, I always thought had some of the best utility, so I'll put him as support. I'll put Twist as first in, and I'll put Elijah as second in.
Okay. Okay. So actually, some that aren't that far retired, and then some that are. Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all of them go plus at least. Yeah. You're not bringing.
Well, I mean, I got K Sharp.
You're not bringing. Fraud back, or yeah. I guess you did say K Sharp. I'm sorry. You did say K Sharp.
Yeah,
you did lean into that era. Yep. My bad. You brought a classic opera in. That's actually really smart. Does he get to use his op? Does he get to use the 1.6 op or the?
He gets to use the 1.6 op.
Now we're really changing the fucking what ifs.
No. I just don't think like, and this might hurt some egos if this podcast ever blows up later on or whatever.
Oh shit.
Who knows? But I think that there hasn't really been a better opper in NA than K Sharp, and that's just, I don't know. You could make a case maybe for JDM, but.
Yeah.
Skadoodle had his moments, obviously, during the Boston run and stuff like that.
Moments, though. Just moments, exactly. Unfortunately.
But as like a whole of career, I mean, K-Sharp was NACS. When you thought of NACS back in the day, it was K-Sharp. In my opinion, he was the answer to Heaton, right? Heaton was EU's superstar. K-Sharp was our superstar.
I think it is fair to give that torch to Fraud for a few years, though, after K-Sharp.
Sure.
Because he was terrifying for a little while too.
Sure.
And maybe even didn't have enough good teammates around him when he was right, which also is what it is. But yeah, I'll accept your roster as the comeback roster that wins a major now in 2025.
I think it could.
It could.
I'll be honest with you.
It could.
Well.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one though.
Okay, go ahead.
What old school organization would you bring back that these guys would play for?
So I had the chance to meet the and I can't remember their names. The Gilbert brothers. Elude and his brother.
Yep.
And they
the Gilbert
were
brothers, yeah.
And they were part owners
TEC.
of TEC, exactly. And I always thought that they were just really personable and really nice, just nice guys.
Yep.
And I think that with their background in CS and everything like that, if they had kept that organization going, I think that would have been perfect for guys like this, right? Because Garez is also a personable guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tarek, from what I've seen, is a personable guy. And I think that that organization would have just been really good for
Yeah.
a roster like that.
That's God. So when we start talking about these fucking old clans, man. Jesus. CK3, right? Like, which,
CK3, yep.
like, holy shit. Tau,
Rival,
TAU,
rival,
Rival, yeah.
Weekend Warriors.
United 5,
How about
like,
how about the
Weekend
only
Warriors, yeah.
how about the only Arizona team that was in invite back in the day, Arizona Dust Devils?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We talked about that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Um,
Crazy. And the
yep.
game's still going. And obviously, it's new versions, but it's kind of neat that fundamentally the same thing is still being played, right?
100%.
That's really
Still,
cool. Decades later.
yep. Yep.
Decades later.
It's like roller skates. They've evolved, but it's
Yeah.
still the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to
No,
talk
this is
about or
again.
anything?
This is just you even prepping me, having me prep for this has been a stroll down like Counter-Strike memory lane because I really, again, after 2022 when I kind of shifted my focus of what I cared about, I just haven't paid it that much attention. And like Counter-Strike nowadays, I live vicariously through Tyler. He's a huge FaZe fan, so but I haven't
There you
watched a
go.
full match in years. I'll watch a map here and there, or keep an eye on socials, or if especially on FaZe stuff, so I can give him shit or get him excited, like, hey, is Simple really gonna stay with FaZe? You think? Like, is that gonna? And he's down bad for FaZe. Um,
I
uh,
think that roster, I think, is gonna have a shakeup pretty soon.
yeah, like they're just going through it.
Yep.
So it's been neat. No, I have nothing in particular to say. If you're a Counter Strike fan, keep figuring out how to support it. If you're what I would say topically, if you're a huge skin owner, you're probably going through it right about now. It is. I don't
There's
know when this drops,
a
but
lot going on.
it's October 23rd right now, 2025, and there's been some changes to the skins that have lost a lot of market value. I saw Olaf Meister was streaming, and he he brought up a video of him showing his market value on one of those sites that like gauges your value like 3 days ago, and his inventory value is at $58,000. He did it today at the same site. It said $18,000.
Unbelievable.
So, and again, I don't
Unbelievable.
know how much of that is fugazi and weirdness, but like everyone is quoting, like this is making like national news that the market, like $2 billion in market value, have been dropped in this digital economy of Valve skins. It has lost $2 billion in value. That's crazy. I've never really paid much attention to it. I have a bunch of skins. I have no
I'll
idea.
be honest with you. I sold all my skins
Yeah,
before they went up. Like there was, I
yeah,
believe it was during COVID, the price of skins skyrocketed, and I sold all my skins before that happened. So
yeah. So I don't have any, I don't have a whole much to say. I'm not an activist or a spokesperson in the Counter Strike scene anymore. I think it's safe to say I'm not. Um, I'm not. I like that Valve's always been incredibly hands off when it comes to Counter Strike and less hands off when it comes to Dota, right? When it comes to how they care about esports, and we're not talking, gameplay updates and campaigns and workshop item. I'm not talking about any like things like that. But when it comes like so for years, like during this heyday that I was involved, they didn't give a rat's fuck. Yeah, they threw majors and help with prize purse, but like they didn't give a fuck. Um, and they still don't. Although they care more now. No, I like that they launched a ranking system that obviously is still being tweaked and needs to keep being tweaked, and that is now gauging invites, and that they've broken the monopolies that were being formed in these closed leagues. They're now being formed in different ways, maybe, and different bonuses to go to events and participation bonuses and stuff, but it's not as cut and dry as, hey, sign this document and you 12 teams are in a club, and we're the best club. So I like that they care, and I think that's doing some stuff that is opening up the ecosystem. You have more TOs that are trying to throw events. You talk about from grassroots all the way on down, you know? Um, so I like all of that. Again, don't pay much attention to it. I like that. There needs to be more of it. I don't like the consolidation of what Savvy Gaming Group and the PIF's money is doing to esports, let alone Counter-Strike. ESL is gobbling up everything. And, it's all about the summer in Riyadh now. And it is what it is, but I don't know. They own DreamHack. They own ESL. They own a huge chunk of the circuit because of that. They've now added this other tournament, an actual. I'm wearing a WCG shirt.
That was my favorite events, by the way. I thought
These were
those
cool
were
as shit.
so cool.
Yeah, these were cool as
I
shit.
those were so cool, man. Oh my God.
What a proper nationalistic way to do it, right?
Literally,
and
that was
esports World
so
Cup,
cool.
similar but less, but same kind of vibe. Yeah, and again now Saudi Arabia they'll have Nations Cup now and the World Cup, so they'll have two things to
Wait,
wash with. And again, it is what it is. Like from the dawn of time, we've gone from getting paid in mouse pads and a little bit of sponsor money, and they went to VC money and then gambling money. And this is the way that they're all existing. ESL, where would they be if they didn't get bought? I don't know. Where DreamHack, I don't know where they would be. Obviously, the teams make a boatload of money by participating in it for tons of divisions. And so then tons of players from tons of different esports are rewarded. So that is a good thing, but it is at the cost of a sports wash. And everyone has to decide how much they care about that, right? It's not the first time. Olympics have been used to sports wash. World Cups in soccer are used to sports wash. It is not new. And what's worse? Sports washing and having people go to your country and you entertain them and show them a good time, or spending your money in sports washing in Atlanta and DreamHack Atlanta? What's a worse wash? Because no one talks about DreamHack being owned by Saudi Arabia, right? They all talk about going to
it
DreamHack.
doesn't. Yeah, I mean,
It
it
doesn't matter
doesn't.
at all. I don't know. Some people
Yeah,
don't give a shit, right?
it doesn't feel like it's owned by
No.
something different. It still feels the same.
Yeah.
DreamHack does. And I think that's why, and I think most people don't even know, you know what I mean? That it's owned by the,
Well,
Saudi Arabians.
yeah. But if you watch any of the content, you'll see their sponsorships, right? The Kidia, City of Kidia is on logos everywhere, right? So they've done a really good job of making it look like DreamHack is not them, but they still get their exposure, right? Because obviously they need their exposure. But it's not
Sure.
like DreamHack
Yeah.
brought to you by Savvy, a Saudi Arabia company, right? And obviously even ESL Cologne, you wouldn't know, but there will be Kidia sponsorship there. There'll be logos and stuff, right? And I think again, I'm out of it. I don't care about the business of esports all that much, other than if someone wants to hire me to run production for stuff. But I don't know. Like when we ran EG, we spent what we earned, right? If we didn't bring the sponsorship dollars in, we didn't do it. We didn't hire the person. We didn't recruit the person. We didn't do the thing, right? There was no war chest of investment money that you could burn through. We literally spent every year what we brought in every year. That shifted during the venture capital days when all of a sudden now I got $5 million. What do I want to do with it? Well, I'm going to build a facility. I'm going to do this. I'm going to open this division. And so it's gotten...
Buy a house in Arizona.
Yeah, it's gotten really weird, right? And we just rented that place.
Yeah.
So they have to do whatever they can to keep their dream of running an esports team alive. I get that. And they've gone through several different sugar daddies, right? And now they're on Saudi Arabia in a big way, right? And my doom and gloom guy thinks, what if it was never meant to be this big? What if it's just because that's not all the money Saudi Arabia is spending is not properly ROI'd, right? They are spending more than they're making, right? And they're fine with that because they're doing it for all sorts of reasons, right? They're diversifying their portfolio. But somewhere along the way, you can't open a restaurant and keep it open and lose money, or you got a business, right? Saudi Arabia can keep going. So they can keep some of this falseness alive. We never got a chance to properly correct ourselves to see what we actually could bear. What's our viewership like versus who's willing to pay for that viewership? Because we've always been incentivized by investment. gambling money, which is not real. They spend 5 to 10x any other marketing spend. That's not real. And now this, right? And so what if it all went away and ESL had to sell tickets and build an arena show that was paid for by the logos hanging and the people who are buying tickets and whoever you sold the rights to? If we never get to that, we don't know what scale esports is supposed to be shown at to be a business. Is it meant to look like high school, or is it meant to look like an NFL? Right? Obviously,
I think it's meant to look at like NFL, but I think that this new generation, right? Like Gen Alpha, I think it's called, or whatever, my kids' generation, chronically online even more than we were.
sure, sure.
And I think once they get up and we're my generation is the older generation, I'll tune into Counter-Strike 4 or whatever it is at the time,
Yeah, that's the
on
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
because the
When
kids that are going to have businesses in 10 years, in 15 years.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like one more generation away from pure adoption of like, oh, this is like just like everything
Mainstream.
else. Yeah. Yeah, with you on
I
that.
had to hide the fact, my friends would be like, "What are you doing this weekend?" In the back of my head, I'm going to a Counter-Strike tournament in LA, with my Counter-Strike clan,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you said.
Right?
But it's like, no, I'm, going out of town for the weekend with my folks or whatever, you know what I mean? But now, if you don't play games,
Yeah.
right, you're the weird one now.
Yeah, everyone's a gamer. I mean, even my mom, before
Mhm.
she passed, hardcore solitaire, mahjong, digital games like that, the hide and seek. Like she played more video games than I did after a while. Like I noticed when I was working, because again she was obviously properly retired, so that was part of her routine. She played all these fun little games on her computer. Yeah, everyone games. So I think you're right too. Maybe it's just in a weird cycle, and we just need one more turn of it because my fear, and again, I could be wrong. My fear is that Saudi Arabia, isn't necessarily in it for the right reasons. They saw an easy, entire huge industry that has a grasp on a young viewer base that they could come in their mind, spend very little money and own it. Right? I mean, they own our top TOs, and the way they're incentivizing these teams. They are huge sponsors of them, right? And
Well, they own Blast, right? They own ESL.
they don't own Blast. They own
They don't own
ESL and
Blast.
DreamHack
Okay.
because the EFG is all those guys together.
Yeah.
Face it, ESL and DreamHack are all one company, right? So they're doing all these festivals around the world. They have this huge platform, Face it, and they have ESL. And then obviously Falcons money is Saudi Arabian funded the same way. They've bought a bunch. They have bought into EA. That thing that happened last week that EA got sold. They are a huge owner of EA with Tencent. They own a bunch of this fucking public private the the personal whatever the PIF, the wealth fund of Saudi Arabia. The investment fund is very diversified. Again, they are into golf, they're into everything, right? So
I was gonna say they got Live Golf.
So I think they saw, and again, I'm not saying that they don't generally want to pivot away from just being an oil company and want to try to put their flag in things, but like they're spending so much money, right? Overspending in that sense.
Well, the oil's gonna run out.
Yeah.
One day.
So
and then what are they gonna have?
So I hope that we get to a place that all these esports get better diversified, and that team owners do find a proper path of ROI that makes it not so like, oh, only the players make money and they're all getting rich and everybody else is losing money. That's not fair. TOs are losing money and we're losing money as team owners. And again, could very well be true. They need to fix it. So yeah. Other than that, I am enjoying my not being an advocate in a lot of ways. I do miss you could tell I rant. I like talking about shit. I miss talking about shit. But yeah, I mean, again, obviously, I realized a long time ago that the idea of esports, meaning two people playing a video game against each other, and they have a skill set that makes them better than the norm, and it makes it entertaining. I've thought that was a case a long time ago, right? And so I think as an entertainment platform, it's not going anywhere. It's just got to figure itself out, right? How does it have a proper ROI? What is the proper spend against it? How do these team owners do it? How do TOs do it? How do game developers do it? Because if you look at Riot and Valve, they do it very differently, right? Riot is all in. They run their esports. They own facilities, broadcast stuff, and like they dot every T and cross every I of every broadcast. Valve, here's some money. Now we got, obviously, like we talked about, they care about more, but they don't, it's not their product. They don't make the product. Riot makes the esports product. And so where is the right one? Is there a mix there that is the right one? Is it dependent on the esport? And then you've got what Epic does with their esports, whether it's Rocket League or Fortnite, and they're very different, right? And so, yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'm excited. I do enjoy watching farther from the sidelines now and not being like, oh, fuck, how's that going to impact me? Oh, shit. Now I just laugh and go, what happened? They did what? Holy shit, Valve. You got to be kidding me.
Well,
yeah.
The update was definitely one of those moments.
Yeah.
To be honest
I
with
do
you.
wish the PA had survived. I wish the players had a really strong voice to take their part of the game forward because they should have it. They do need it because God knows the teams advocate for the teams and the TOs advocate for the TOs. And no one other than Styko on Twitter is advocating for the players, right? Yeah.
Styko.
Yeah.
Styko's a good guy.
He's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well,
that's it.
I guess that concludes episode 1. Who knows? If you want to come back, I'd love to have you. Maybe as a guest, if you want to come in and help me, talk to some of these other guys I'm gonna have on and stuff like that.
Possibly.
I'd love to have you.
Yeah, possibly.
So, this was SirScoots. Go follow him. He's the living legend.
I don't know about that.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate having you. Love being on these things. So yeah. And then let's meet up.
Awesome.
Peace.
Yeah, definitely. Peace.